So it covers only EU countries, or it covers all the other countries who does business in EU, or EU citizens only?
It confers rights on EU residents only. But all businesses and all other persons who deal with or handle or process personal data of EU residents will need to comply with GDPR. So in that sense, it also has extraterritorial application.
So if I do any business with EU, or if I access any data, I have to be compliant with GDPR.
Correct.
Irrespective whether I am in EU or I am in US or India or anywhere in the world.
Correct. Anywhere in the world, as long as you are dealing with personal data of EU residents,
Right.
one will need to comply with GDPR.
And if EU residents are dealing with non-EU residents, do they also have to comply?
When EU businesses, because they are within the EU,
Right.
they have no other option but to comply with GDPR. But businesses outside the EU, if they do not serve EU residents, they don't have to comply with GDPR. And if they serve EU residents, they may not need to comply with GDPR for other residents than the EU residents.
But like mobile companies, I'll give you a simple example. They do have operations in EU countries.
Right.
And he comes and buy a connection of XYZ mobile company.
Right.
They do have operations there.
Correct.
The data is breached. So this
Right.
company will be potentially liable.
In that case, because GDPR does not apply across, outside EU,
Yeah.
in terms of it does not have the force of law outside EU.
But that person can go back to EU and he can sue that company there.
Potentially, if the contract was concluded within, I think it needs to be on a case-by-case basis. That needs development there. But in the specific scenario that you mentioned, where the EU resident travels to India,
He's a tourist.
He's a tourist, and the breach happens in India. In that case, in that narrow case, I don't think GDPR will be applicable.
Will be applicable.
Right.